Hey guys, I wanted to share some thoughts on an article I read, a LinkedIn article I read yesterday that was just incredible, I thought. It was focusing on data and analytics and basically this kind of position that a lot of organizations find themselves in, that there's access to so much of it. How do they make sense of it? How do they leverage it? How do they get the information they really need, especially at the leadership level? And this article I thought was so well laid out, and that it kind of broke down how to go about doing that, and even gave a process kind of structurally to work through one by one as far as organizing all of that and utilizing it. And I'll try to find it, and I'll share it, so that you can come to my profile and find it if you'd like. But the thing I thought was most powerful is the first step in the step-by-step process that this gentleman had put in was synthesis. I thought that was incredible, because really the utilization of data needs to start with some process of synthesis, right? Is ultimately, what is my core measure, right? What is my purpose in measuring this thing? Ultimately, what is the kind of that main driver for the business as a whole? So a good example of this is marketing, sales and marketing, right? We see this a lot with our Profit Ignition clients. Is a lot of things are being measured. You've got maybe engagement, right, with marketing, measuring engagement, measuring ad spend at different levels, really getting granular with this stuff sometimes. On the sales side, looking at conversions, looking at a lot of different things here. But then there's no client acquisition cost being measured. So there's no connection there, right? Ultimately, and as a business leader, when you're trying to understand, where maybe revenue is dipping or what's happening, having to get in and try to make sense of all of these kind of singular metrics without ever having that tied back to something like cost of total client acquisition, is where that frustration comes from, right? So it's understanding how that's pulled up. So ultimately, client acquisition cost, that's a very real cost that the business is seeing today. It has a very real cash impact on today. And in tying that kind of data flow together allows you to then set some core metrics in place with something like client acquisition that you can follow, right? And you can do that throughout the operation, to the point that what we like to see is no more than about 5 kind of key metrics like that, which once it's all put together and tied together, and we have a really good understanding of what's feeding that metric, and we can set some really good targets there, we know on a month-by-month basis, or maybe even less, that if these are on track, then my business is on track, right? I'm on track to meet the forecast, to meet the plan. Things are good. If something's maybe off track a little bit, well, now I can dig into those sub data sets and understand more specifically maybe where the deficiency lies. But it doesn't always have to work that way, as far as month by month, week by week, going and trying to dig and find what's going on and making sense. Another example of that is on the operational side, looking at time. So typically operations work in general is measured in time, right? Time and output. Well, what's that connection? So time is a big one, is going to be labor. So understanding how time efficiency impacts labor expense, being primarily variable labor, that tying into what is a variable expense core metric, right, lets us know that within our variable expenses, I've got variable labor, and I've got that set as a percentage of my total income for target. That now I'm, as a business leader, I know that I can see that on a month-by-month basis, and I'm on or off. Now, if I'm off, great. Let's get into the more departmental level analysis and understand that time breakdown. But doing that, or going through all that before connecting it to the core metrics, to what's really driving the business at a high level, is going to be very, very difficult to get real benefit out of any data that's flowing through the business. So anyway, that's just a quick little video, quick little note to kind of share that. I thought, again, that's that was such a good way to start that. And again, I'll try to find that article and share it here. But going through the process of synthesis first, what's my end goal, right? Why am I doing this? What do I really need to get out of this? Starting there, and then kind of reverse engineering down through the operations, through the processes to determine what really needs to be measured, what's really driving those kind of core levers. Makes it so much easier, makes it way easier to manage. All right, guys.